It was investor call week, and yeah, that might not sound that exciting, but it does actually give us a good look at the coming 12 months, as every company shares what they have planned. For example, Sony expects to ship 18 million PS5s between April and March, so their financial year, and that is 56% more versus last year. So I really hope that everyone who's still having trouble getting the hardware can finally buy one. But we also learned about big unannounced games, with Capcom planning to release multiple major new titles by March 31st, 2023, while the next Street Fighter is kind of the only game we know about. We also got other brand new titles announced and leaked, more info about the big Summer Game Fest happening in June, and way more to go over. So of course, if you like these big Sunday videos, then leaving a like would really be awesome. And subscribe, because every Sunday I post a big rumor and news roundup video like this. I want to start with EA, a lot is going on here. For one, they announced a free-to-play Lord of the Rings mobile game. We only have this image so far, although the game is planned for a launch before April 2023. And now you see Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes gameplay, which another EA mobile game that has been doing pretty well, by the way. This Lord of the Rings title is basically going to be like this. Turn-based combat, we can collect Lord of the Rings characters. It's actually being developed by the same team as well. So yeah, Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth, it could be interesting, wanted to quickly mention it. But now let's move on to more exciting titles like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, because that seems to be the name of the sequel to Fallen Order, according to prominent leaker Jeff Grubb, who has been right many times before. And this leak comes after EA revealing their big plans for the coming 12 months, with F1 22 already announced and dropping this July. FIFA and Madden, of course, in the quarter after that. We see the new Need for Speed for this holiday season, probably November, so we should see the game soon, and it's rumored to adapt a photorealistic art style mixed with some anime elements. Okay. The game should take place in a city called Lake Shore City, which should be based on Chicago. We should be able to customize all pieces of a car. The Autolog in-game social network should be back to access the multiplayer content, and the game is probably not coming to PS4 and Xbox One, and that was kind of the big story this week, of course, as well, with Gotham Knights dropping the PS4 and Xbox One version 2, something that was actually already rumored and that we discussed a few weeks in a Sunday video as well. I went, by the way, in depth on the brand new Gotham Knights gameplay, and I will leave a link to that video in the video description for if you are curious. Now going back to EA, because they got a really big Q4 planned, so that is between January and March 2023. We see Remake noted here, which we learned is the Dead Space remake, as it got announced for a January 27th, 2023 release. We also got to see some brand new pre-alpha footage that did polish this specific part of the game, but yeah, it should kind of look like this when it comes out, probably a bit better. And January is of course a great spot for a remake like this, not a lot of competition, and it's also where Capcom found success with their Resident Evil titles, including the RE2 remake. Now, I'm not sure what the sports title is here. Some people thought it was college football, although that seems to be planned for summer of 2023, so a bit later. The partner title could be anything. Recent partner titles included Lost in Random, It Takes Two, Rocket Arena, so something of that caliber. But the major IP is almost certainly Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Jeff Grubb also notes that it should be out in February or March. So yeah, that is in EA's Q4 window. We will likely find out during the Star Wars celebration starting May 26th, as the game is set to be revealed there, also next gen and PC only. I just really can't wait to see it in action. But yeah, this makes the start of 2023 already really crowded, and we of course also have Redfall and Starfield now delayed to that first half of 2023, with games like Suicide Squad, Overwatch 2 and the new Zelda planned for a spring 2023 release as well. Now sure, we're talking about a 6-month window, so there could be some space between these titles, but Capcom usually also release their games in the early parts of the year. Like, I could see Street Fighter 6 here, but that is far from everything. They namely expect to sell 37 million units in 12 months, with 10 million coming from new titles and 27 million units coming from the back catalog. And 10 million for Capcom is a pretty big deal, deal when massive games like Resident Evil 8 sell 4.5 million in 2 months. So I expect at least 3 big AAA games from them. Sure, we should still get DLC for Village, and there's of course also an expansion for Monster Hunter Rise coming, but those 2 titles will not hit 10 million, far from it. So I think it's finally time for them to release Dragon's Dogma 2. This was of course part of the big Capcom leak. There it was slated for a launch in Q2 of fiscal year 22, which was the previous fiscal year, so basically 1 year ago. That obviously did not happen. But yeah, COVID of course played a huge role in this, so a full year delay makes sense. But yeah, that does mean that I do think we will finally see it before April 2023. But yeah, the first game was a relatively small title. Maybe the sequel will surprise us. I hope it does. But yeah, I do think Capcom is looking at least one other game. And it has to be the Resident Evil 4 remake, right? It has been rumored countless of times, even with some details, as you see right here. It was also in the GeForce Now leak that predicted many games already. That was noted for a November 2022 release, but good to note that most of these dates have been pushed. We all see Dragon's Dogma 2 and Street Fighter 6 here, so I think those are the 3 AAA games planned for April 2023, and I would not be surprised if all these games were shown in an upcoming PlayStation event. Remember the RE4 symbol that was in a PlayStation commercial, also during a previous PlayStation event, and recent State of Plays saw announcements of other Capcom games like Exo Primal, which I'm low-key curious about. It's raining down Raptors, so I need to at least try this. And Sony of course also announced Pragmata during an early PS5 showcase. So they of course got a good relationship with Capcom, and I think that will continue this year with the reveal of these new games. So there are now rumblings about a Sony event in the first week of June, although it's far from confirmed, so take it with a grain of salt. But it does line up with the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 reveal for early June. We know that Square is preparing a big reveal for Final Fantasy 16, which is close to completion, with a trailer coming soon. And if that Last of Us remake is really coming this year, then you might want to reveal that as early as possible as well, right? So I totally see a case for a June event. I would love it. And maybe this is also where we then see the rumored Silent Hill game, as it's believed to be a PS5 exclusive. Known leaker Dust Golem posted 2020 images of a new game, but as you see right here, they were hit with a copyright strike, implying that they might be real. But yeah, I won't be showing them in this video, as I might risk a takedown as well. But we of course heard about Silent Hill projects for a while now. One should be in development at Blooper Team, behind the recently released Medium, as they hinted that their next game would be based on an existing horror IP from a famous publisher, which should be Konami, right? And in this article, it's also noted that Konami has already outsourced a Silent Hill project to a prominent Japanese developer as well, with a reveal due this summer. This was last year though. Reveal did not happen, so maybe we see it now. Like with all the rumblings, these leaked screenshots, also the Silent Hill crossover in Dead by Daylight 2 years ago, you would think that something is going to happen with the franchise, right? Maybe we see it soon. What is 100% happening is a new Dune next-gen open-world survival game. It's being made by Funcom, the development team behind Conan Exiles, and this Dune game should also be inspired by that survival title that last year, by the way, got a new DLC. So high chance that this Dune game will have multiplayer too. And of course, one of the biggest draws from the film was the very interesting world. So being able to explore that in a video game should be really awesome. And it looks promising in the first concept art that was revealed, including a job opening image where we see the amount of people they seek. So it's totally at least 1, probably 2 years away, but it could be cool when it comes out. And maybe they do want to tease it already with some sort of trailer during Summer Game Fest. We learned a bit more about what's going on in June during that regular E3 window, although E3 is cancelled. Long live Summer Game Fest. So we learned that the core of this year's event will run from June 9th till June 12th. And it will start, of course, on June 9th with a big showcase that promises to reveal what's next in gaming, with huge new game announcements, world premieres, special guests, and much more. And I mentioned this last week as well, but last year we got Elden Ring, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, some big Hollywood names announcing stuff. Could be cool. I hope it's a bit better than last year. But yeah, it should at least be fun to watch. I think there will at least be 1 or 2 things that could be exciting. Jeff Grubb, as always, also shares his calendar, the Summer Game Mess. He notes that Call of Duty event again for early June. Day of the Devs and Indie Showcase will be happening. And then the big event will be Xbox on June 12th. A Gears of War remaster, Master Chief Collection style is now rumored. So they might want to reveal it there. And overall, I hope they like kind of bring the heat. Because everyone, especially on the Xbox side, is kind of down now that Starfield and Redfall are delayed. Do they have some other things planned for 2022, or maybe they will like tease that 2023 will be really amazing? I personally still hope for Fable stuff, but we will have to wait and see. Now, we all see the PC game show, very long. I usually don't watch it, but it could be that there are a few trailers. You see the trailers they had last year here. Maybe they will have some fun things like last year. Now, there could also be more, because Nintendo last year announced their E3 style show for June 15th. 2 weeks before. So we're still in May. Like, it could totally happen that more parties show up. I'm also not sure about Ubisoft. They did announce their Ubisoft Forward last year in April already. So that was like then on the Saturday in June. So that would be June 11th here, which is still kind of a free spot. But yeah, I do think they would have announced or said something by now. Maybe they will still have something at the Xbox show or at Summer Game Fest. Sony would of course be the big one. Like, I'm holding my fingers crossed. They usually also announce stuff very close to it actually happening. So that could be like a week before. Hopefully they do something. Overall, Jeff Keighley also notes that fewer companies are planning standalone events this year. We of course already knew that EA was not going to do anything anymore. And he also says that many will instead take part in first party events. So, again, we only know about Xbox. You would think that Nintendo and Sony is going to do something. I hope it's all in June. It should be a little more concise. It should be, like, not as spread out as the previous years. But we will have to wait and see. I at least hope some cool announcements. So, we'll be covering it here. We'll keep you posted. Subscribe, of course, for all the Sunday videos and other content throughout the week. A like on the video would really help me out. And actually like yesterday at the time of this recording, I also posted a video about Ubisoft. It was basically also a Sunday style video, but really going in depth on what they got planned for the next 12 months, including some mystery games. You can watch that video by clicking on the screen. For now, I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.